Okay guys, today we're going to be taking a look at what survival should look like. Now in a video I did a little while back, I was going over survival kits and talking about some things in the survival community, namely relating to survival kits and stuff like that, that were completely inadequate and that you should never trust your life to. And I think it's only fair that if I say that, I should make some form of statement showing you what survival should look like. So today's video is going to be focused on what a small survival kit should look like. If you have to run small, with a minimalist set of tools and equipment, what should you carry? What are the most important items? So without any further ado, let's jump into my personal survival kit and talk about what I think is important and necessary to carry in a very small package. So as you can see, first off, this is my PSK and it's about the size of my hand, and it's a little bit bigger because it's a thick girl, but this, within reason, is a very small kit that has everything that I would consider necessary and even some additional add-ons that are not necessary but important to have. So starting off with the outside of the kit, as you guys can quite clearly tell on the bottom, I have an ACR or a Rescue Link ACR PLB. Now that's a lot of acronyms, but essentially what this little device on the bottom is, that is all rigged up, is a personal locator beacon, which serves function to emit a frequency to search and rescue, letting you know your exact location, that you're in distress and you need help. And I like the ACR because the ACR has been around for a long time. They're fairly well proven, and overall they don't have a subscription fee. They just work. And all you have to do with it, it's a very simple user guide or user process. You just pop out this little essential wire right here, which is your antenna, and then it folds out, revealing underneath this power button, the real button, and you hit that button for a couple seconds and it fires out the emergency frequency, letting search and rescue know that you're in distress. So that is what's attached to the bottom of my kit. And once again, I think when we talk about survival, the most important part to survival is rescue. So if you can't adequately reach out, if you can't adequately let those who can find you or help you know that you're in distress, you're really setting yourself back, because I'm not saying that search and rescue won't come, but this makes sure that they do come. So that's why I have that on the bottom, and I have it externally very secure here. As you guys can see here, I have it very secured, but I have it on the outside so that I know where it is at all times and it's within arm's reach at all times. So that's why it's out here, not in the pack. I want it out so I know that I have it, I know that it's within reach, and I can easily access it. Okay, so additionally to what's outside of the pack, or not so much outside, but in this kind of front compartment, is a mild medical kit. There's nothing too fancy in here, and I'm not necessarily going to open it up, but it's essentially an Altoids tin filled with butterfly bandages, band-aids, alcohol prep pads, afterbite or sting relief medications. It has some light duty Advil and acetaminophen, so just really basic light duty stuff, so that if you hurt yourself or if you need just a quick thing, it's in there. Because I think that this PSK, oftentimes we think of just throwing a PSK together, having just the most critical stuff similar to the ACR here, but oftentimes we cut ourselves, we nick ourselves, we have a lot of sharp tools around, so that kind of stuff happens. So it's important to have, that little stuff for the little things that come up. And especially being in the medical field, I know how fast things can get infected. So it is important to, take care of even small things, because infections can kill just as bad as breaking your leg or chopping into an artery. Little things can get to you. But essentially, that's what lives behind this little pouch here, this little slip, is just that. And I also have this guy, double Ranger band here, or I use two large Ranger bands to keep it closed and to keep it shut. And it's not necessarily submersion waterproof, but if this kit gets rained on or gets a little wet, That's to help prevent anything in there from getting wet too. Okay, so jumping into the core of the kit. So on the top here we have my first Mylar blanket. I like to keep 2 Mylar blankets because, if you know, Mylar blankets can be pretty weak and pretty fragile, and it's important that they don't have any rips or tears in them to start. So I like to have one just at the top, just in case. In addition to that, you guys probably noticed this orange little lanyard here, and I like to have my orange lanyard sticking out. It's connected to my ferro rod, and so, like I said, I like to have that sticking out because I use this ferro rod quite a bit, and most importantly, it's nice to have the ferro rod easily accessible, and similar to the ACR, I like to know where it is at all times because it's a very important piece of kit for me. And like I said, I want to know where it is, and I want it to be easily found at all times. So that is that. So that is the ferro rod. So in addition to that, and I've talked in other survival videos, that in my PSK I carry 3 means of fire starting. So I also carry a peanut lighter in here, and I carry the peanut lighter because, one, it's a lighter and it has flames, and that is pretty handy when you're trying to get a good many things on fire. But in addition to that, I can use this entire system one-handed. So it's not necessarily the easiest thing to open one-handed, but I can certainly open it one-handed, as you guys can see here. So in an event of any type of issues with one of my hands, I can certainly crack it open and have fire just like that, all one-handed. And that is what's most important about my lighter, and the primary reason why I carry a lighter is because I can use it one-handed. In addition to that, like I said, I also carry matches in the center compartment, and this is just a good backup for the ferro rod and for the lighter itself. And of course, they are in a waterproof container with their strike face. So in addition to that, in the core of the PSK, I also have water purification tablets, and you'll notice that I have a good amount of plastic bags in here, and that's on purpose. I like to have the plastic bags so that I can get water if I have to, and put these little iodine tablets in the water. In addition to that, I have some snare wire, which works very well for doing any type of, light work. It could be making snares, it could be, doing some sewing. It's really good rudimentary cordage that is a little bit different than just paracord. So next to that, I also have some live fire in here, and live fire, while not my favorite tinder in the world, it does work pretty okay. And the greatest thing about live fire, of course, is that you can back it back and, continue to start multiple fires with the same tinder. So I like having it as an option. So the last thing that I have in the center of this kit is a big old burrito, as I like to call it. And so technically this is 3 rubber bands and a bandana wrapped around my primary Mylar blanket. And this is a little bit thicker and heavier duty Mylar blanket. But as I mentioned with the first Mylar blanket, these things, even thicker ones, are still pretty fragile. So I like to wrap it with the bandana because the bandana gives the Mylar blanket a level of protection from, anything that might be in this kit or anything that might brush up against this Mylar blanket. It just has a nice level of protection. Okay, so moving to the back of this kit here is my Fox 40 Mini. And this is a great little whistle. I love Fox 40 as a company. They professionally make whistles, and they do a really good job at making whistles overall. So I like the Fox 40 Mini, and Fox 40 just makes a lot of really good whistles, but the Mini is a great tiny guy to fit in. And once again, I have it on a lanyard because the Mini is or actually I should say micro, is pretty small, and it can be a little bit hard to find just in the kit, so I like to have it on a little lanyard. In addition to that, on the back here, I have some Cliff Bars and some instant coffee. Now, once again, some people will say that that isn't necessarily critical to survival, and I definitely agree to that, but I think survival is a 2-part game. It's half physical, half mental. And so what the Cliff Bars and instant coffee do more than anything is, if I have the means to make the instant coffee, or if I have the means to, or if I eat the Cliff Bar, it gives me that level of comfort. So I'm not feeling as bad off as I might be. Or, it's that I know search and rescue is coming for me, and now I can just sit, relax, have a Cliff Bar, make sure that my mental situation and health are staying in as good condition as possible. So that's why I have the Cliff Bars, the instant coffee. It's absolutely not critical for survival, and I know that. It's just that mental health plays a big factor and an important factor into physical health as well, including in survival situations. So the last few things are going to be, and before I forget too, there's also there's some aluminum foil in here that can be fashioned into, plates or pots, or, small stuff for cooking. So unlike, a plastic bag, you can heat up water in aluminum foil. So that's an important thing to mention on this side, and I do have plastic bags on this side as well. So the last few things to talk about are going to be on this side of the kit, and as you guys can see over here, I have just tinder, and normally I have paracord over here. However, I need to replenish the paracord, but normally I'd have paracord in here, and I have tinders over here. And for the tinders, I have a mixture of UST wet fires and Tinder Quicks, and I like both Tinder Quick and Wet Fire for respective reasons. I think that Wet Fire is a very good tinder to use in really unoptimal or bad situations, because it will catch fire and it will light and work even when it's on water, not just wet. So I like to have Wet Fire for that reason, but in more traditional and easier conditions to start fires, I will use Tinder Quick. And I like to have it as an option so that I'm not just using the good stuff, so to speak, every single time I'm starting a fire. So that is the basics to a survival kit, and what I think a survival kit should have. Of course, checking off the 5 C's of survivability, and then focusing on your mental health and working, to keep yourself alive by all means. So that's what I think that a good survival kit should have. Now, once again, to each their own. Everyone's going to have their own thought and their own theory on what their survival kit should or will have. So everyone's going to vary a little bit, and you may not necessarily agree or like everything that's in this kit. This is just what I carry and what I think is important for me and for my health and mental health. So as always, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this quick video, and God bless, and I'm out.